Myself, Dr. N. Sangeeta Priya, Associate Professor, Department of ECE, Ramachandra College of Engineering, Eluru, AP. This semester, I'm going to handle computer networks for final year ECE students. Before going directly into computer networks, we have to know about what is data communications and networking. Nowadays, data communications and networking are changing the way we do business and the way what we live. Business decisions have to be made even more quickly, and the decision makers require immediate access to accurate information. So today, business rely on computer networks and internet networks. Before we ask how quickly we can get hooked up, we need to know how networks operate, what types of technologies are available, and which design is best to fill the needs. So, the development of the personal computer brought about tremendous changes for business, industry, science, and education. A similar revolution is occurring in data communications and networking also. Technological advantages are making it possible for communication links to carry more and faster signals. So, as a result, services are evolving to allow use of this expanded capacity. For example, established telephone services such as conference calling, call waiting, voicemail, and caller ID have been extended. Nowadays, the research in data communications and networking has resulted in new technologies. So, one goal for all the user is to be able to exchange data such as text, audio, and video from all point in the world. So today we start with the introduction of our first unit, that is what is a data communications. The term data communication means sharing information. Sharing can be local or remote, or between any individuals, and the local communications usually what we do, the communication between face to face, while remote communication takes place over a long distance. So the term telecommunication represents telephony, telegraphy, and television means communication at a long distance. The word data refers to information presented in which form is agreed upon by the parties creating and using the data. So data communications are the exchange of data between two devices through some transmission medium such as a wire cable. So here the data communications represents four fundamental characteristics. First is delivery, second is accuracy, third is timeliness, fourth is jitter. So before going into the network component, data representation and data flow, we have to know the characteristic of every data communication networking, that is delivery. So the system must deliver the data to the correct destination. Data must be received by the intended device or any user, and only by that device or that particular user. It should not be delivered to some other user or some other devices. And what about the second characteristic, that is accuracy? The system should deliver the data accurately. Data that have been altered in transmission and left uncorrected or unusable. It is not at all usable. Third fundamental is timeliness. Time parameter is the important thing. A system must deliver the data in a timely manner. Data delivered late or useless. For example, in the case of video and audio, timely deliver means delivering data as they are produced in the same order that they are produced and without significant delay. This kind of delivery is called as real-time transmission. So the parameter timeliness is very, very important in the case of real-time communications. The last fundamental characteristic of any data communication is jitter. Jitter refers to the variation in the packet arriving with respect to time. It is, it is the uneven delay in the delivery of audio or any video packets. For example, let us assume that video packets are sent for every 30 milliseconds. If some of the packets are arriving with 30 millisecond delay and other with another some 40 milliseconds of delay, so there will be unequal quality in the video as a result. So next we go into the components of a data communication system. So there are basic 5 components are there, and some 5 to 6 data representations are there, and 3 data flows are there. So one by one we can see first what is the components depends on the data communication and networking. So this is the diagrammatic representation of 5 components of any data communication. First one is sender, second one is receiver, third one is message, fourth one is medium, fifth one is the most important thing, protocol. So what do you mean by sender? A sender is the device that sends the data message. For example, the sender can be a computer, workstation, telephone handset, or any video cameras, etc. Same, what do you mean by a receiver? A receiver is nothing but it is also a device that receives the message sent by the sender. So it can also be a computer, workstation, telephone handset, television, etc. And it doesn't mean that whatever the device used by the sender should be same as the receiver. A sender can send a message through his mobile and a receiver can receive the message through his computer, personal computer. It doesn't mean two devices of sender and receiver should be of same. And the third one is message, what we are going to send and what we are going to receive. Both are the message. It is nothing but some kind of information. So message is nothing but it is an information or any data to be communicated between a sender and a receiver. So popular forms of information will be usually what we do in a day-to-day life. That is, we will be using text as the message, or any numbers we will share, or any pictures we will share, or any audio or any videos. So that all comes under the message. And the fourth parameter or the fourth component of any data communication is nothing but medium. So it is called transmission medium. So the transmission medium is the physical path between a sender and the receiver where the message travels from sender to the receiver. For example, this transmission medium can be a twisted pair cable or coaxial cable or fiber optic cable and any radio waves. Anything, the medium can be chosen and it can send the message from sender to receiver. It is just a physical path established between a sender and the receiver. Fifth one, a most important thing is a protocol. Protocol is nothing but it is a set of rules governed by any data communications. So it represents just an agreement between the communicating devices, that is between a sender and the receiver, between the sender and the receiver. So see here, rule number 1, rule number 2, etc. up to rule number n. This is the protocol set into the sender. Same protocol should be followed with the receiver. That is the mutual consent between a sender and the receiver. That is nothing but protocol. So without, suppose if there is no protocol is found between a sender and receiver, so what happens? Without a protocol, these two devices may not be communicated or connected. Just as a person, suppose a person speaking French language, which cannot be understood by the other person who speaks only Japanese. One person know only French and other person know only Japanese, means both cannot communicate each other. Both should have the knowledge about a common language. So that is set by a protocol. So these are the 5 important components: sender, receiver, message, transmission medium, and a protocol. So this why has to be followed in a proper way to establish any data communication networks. Next we go for data representation. See, under components we have seen 5 things: sender, receiver, message, transmission medium, and protocol. Next we go for data representation. So as I said before, the data representation can be in the form of text, numbers, any images, or any audio, or any video. For example, text means we all know. For you can take an example of your mobile. So whatever the message, whatever the information you want to share with your friends, just you can use the text format and you can text the message. So the main text is represented as a bit pattern actually. A sequence of bit, it consists of either zeros or ones. So different sets of bit patterns have been designed to represent a text symbols. So in technical, we call it as a code. So this code is, today the prevalent coding system what we are using is Unicode, which uses 32 bits to represent a symbol or any character in any languages in the world. So how many bits a Unicode consists of? 32 bits, which is represented as a symbol or any character. So that is nothing but Unicode. This we know ASCII code. It was developed by ASCII is nothing but American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So it was developed by United States some decades ago. So now it constitutes the first 127 characters in Unicode, which is also represented as Basic Latin. So this all you would have studied in STLD subject. So just I'm recollecting all those. So next, as I said, apart from text, you can go for numbers also. So numbers are represented by bit patterns. And numbers are directly, it is converted by binary to as any simplified mathematical representation. Next we go for images. Images can be represented by bit patterns. Usually we call it as the size of the pixels, which will be depending on the resolution of your image. Suppose for example, an image can be divided into 1000 pixels or 10,000 pixels. So depending upon the number of pixels, the image representation will be better. And even it will occupy more memory also. So the next, you can represent your data in the form of audio. So audio refers to the recording or any broadcasting of sound or any music. Audio can also be any nature with a different kind of text, number, or images. Next is video. Video is nothing but it refers to recording or broadcasting of a picture or any movie. That comes under video format of your data representation. The third topic is data flow. So the data flow is of 3 types. See, data flow is simplex, half duplex, and full duplex. Data flow is of simplex, half duplex, and full duplex. So simplex is nothing but the communication is unidirectional. You can check out with this arrow mark. The direction of data will be from mainframe to the monitor. For example, you consider this as a sender and this as a receiver. Only sender will send the message, receiver will receive the message. That's it in the case of simplex data flow. So as I said, the communication is unidirectional. You can compare this with a one-way street. Only one of the two devices on a link can transmit. The others can only receive. So this is clearly explained in the diagram. Keyboards and traditional monitors are the examples of this simplex data flow. The keyboard can only give the input and the monitor can only accept the output. So the simplex mode can use the entire capacity of the channel to send the data in one direction. Next we go to half duplex. Half duplex mode is nothing but each station. See, this is one station and this is another station. Each station can transmit and receive the data. No problem with one direction. This station also can transmit and receive, and this station also can transmit and receive. The condition is it cannot do simultaneously. Only one at a time, only one station can send or receive the data. So when one device is sending, the other one can only receive. Same vice versa will occur for second stage. So I can give a practical example. The half duplex mode is just like one lane road with traffic allowed in both the directions. So when cars are traveling in one direction, cars going to the other way must wait. So if, there is no option for sending the cars in two directions. If a traffic is released only towards one direction, all the cars will be released. So after stopping the signal, then opposite direction, all the cars will be moving from one direction to the other direction. So the best example for half duplex mode is walkie-talkies. We can tell walkie-talkies are the best example for half duplex. One user will send the message and they will say over, then other will start talking to communicate with the sender. Third data flow is full duplex. Here it is entirely different. Here also same two stations will be communicating with a common link, but the difference is they can do simultaneous action. See here, the direction of data at time 1 will be in one direction and time 2 will be in other direction in the case of half duplex. But in the case of full duplex, the direction of data will be all the time. So simultaneously it can transmit the data from one station to the other stations. So the best example what we can tell for full duplex is a two-way street with traffic flowing in both the directions at the same time. So many of them would have noticed while driving the vehicle. So we will be standing in one station with four junctions. So there towards left side and opposite, both the traffic will be released at the same time. So you can move north side and you can move south side. Cars can move. Opposite east and west direction, they have to wait. At a time, simultaneously, from two directions, the cars will be moving to their destination. So that you can keep it as an example for full duplex cases. So next, these are the basic components. What we have seen under data communication is components, data representation and data flow. So next we go for networks. So what do you mean by networks? A network is nothing but it is a set of devices. So technically we call any devices or more number of devices connected between each other. Each and every devices we call it as a node. So nodes will often refer as a device which will be interconnected by a communication link. So what is that node? A node is nothing but it is a device. So a device can be either a computer, printer, or any other devices capable of sending or receiving the data. For example, mobile, anything it can be. A device can be anything which can, but the device should have the capability of sending and receiving the data generated by the other nodes within the network. Okay, so to establish any networks, we need to concentrate on basic 6 parameters, that is distributed processing, network criteria, physical structures, network models, categories of networks, interconnection of networks, or simply we call it as internetwork. These are all the topics we have to be taken into our mind for establishing any networks. So one by one we can see what do you mean by distributed processing. So distributed processing is nothing but a task is divided among multiple computers. So just a physical meaning you can take. A distribution means what? Just distributing the task or any work to all the devices which is connected within a network. So obviously what will be the advantage if you divide the task among all the multiple computers instead of making a single large machine being responsible to do more number of tasks. This distribution process will give you the efficiency. So separate computers or separate workstations will handle a different subsets. So the task will be completed in a limited time and also with higher efficiency. Next we go for network criteria. So first we are establishing a network, giving or sharing the task among all the devices involved in the concerned network. Next, each and every network, how it has to be established. What is the criteria has to be followed to establish any data communication network means. First, we have to think about the performance of the network. So obviously, the performance can be measured in two ways. One is transit time and response time. So performance of any class, what we can tell, how we can tell the performance of class is good. If a teacher is asking any question to the students, an instant message or instant response has to be come from the or instant answer has to be come from the students immediately. So then the performance of the class will be good. If teacher is keep on asking the question and students is not at all opening the mouth, so how the performance of the class will be? It will not be interactive and efficient way. Same, if students are asking, keep on asking any doubt in particular topic, teacher is not at all clarifying those doubts, then that type of classes also will not be efficient with good performance. So the network criteria, the first most important thing is performance should be good in both the ways, transmitter and receiver. Next criteria is reliability. So this reliability is accuracy of delivery. Okay, I'm delivering the class, but how accurately I'm delivering the class to the students. So that is important. So if I deliver accurate manner, so no doubts will be probably arised for any students. So that also plays an important parameter for establishing any networks. Third is security. So this we cannot compare with our class teaching. In the case of network, if you are sharing any information from any databases, if anyone is hacking any information from database, so automatically the communication or whatever the information you are sharing, it doesn't have any security. Anyone can hack the information, it can go in a wrong way. So security plays the most important parameter for establishing any data communication network. So these three things you have to be keep it in mind for establishing any network criteria. First one is performance, second one is reliability, third one is security. Performance is nothing but efficiency, reliability is nothing but trust. Okay, third one is security. Next thing for any network and data communication is physical structures. So what is the physical structures to be followed in the case? Physical structure is nothing but simply communication link between any devices. So the physical structures or type of connections will be two types. One is point to point and another one is multi point. So before going to point, what is a types of communication connections? A network is consist of two or more devices. A single device cannot be called it as a network. At least for a network, we need two devices has to be connected. So network which is connected with two or more devices through link, that link is a communication pathway which transfers a data from one devices to the another. For visualization process, it is simplest to imagine any link or a line drawn between any link or a line drawn between 2 points, that is station, one station to the other station. So for communication to occur, two devices must be connected in some way to the same link at the same time. Both should be connected and both should be in line with the with respect to the same time. So there are, in this case, there are two possibility to have the types of connection between two devices. One is point to point, another one is multi point. Just if you see the diagram, you can able to understand easily. Point to point means it is a private link from one station to the other station. It has a permanent or temporary establishment of a link to share the information from one end to the another end. So a point to point connection provides a dedicated link between two stations or two devices. So the entire capacity, what is the advantage for point to point communication link is the entire advantage of this entire capacity or advantage of the link is reserved for transmitting between only these two devices. The link cannot be used to communicate to any other devices other than the network. Only this link is used to communicate between these two stations. So most point to point communications or connections use an actual length of cable. So we know this device is fixed and this device is also fixed. So we can calculate the distance between these two devices and you can establish the link for a accurate length between two devices. So for example, microwave or satellite links are also possible to have point to point communication. But when you change the television channels by any IR remote channel, usually we used to change the channels in the television by using a remote, TV remote. So that infrared remote control, you are establishing a point-to-point connection between the remote control and the television control system. So the best example for point-to-point communication is nothing but a television, a communication or connection between a television and a remote, TV remote, concerned television remote. Next we come for multi-point. This multi-point is nothing but, you can tell, multi-drop. From one side, the link is taking the message and it is dropping to different stations. That we call it as multi-point. So two specific devices sharing the same link. Minimum two specific devices sharing the same link to the mainframe. That we call it as a multi-point. So what is the advantage of this multi-point compared to the point-to-pointers? This point-to-pointers, this particular link is used to share the information between only two stations. But here, the particular information, a particular link is used to take the data or the information from one place to the different stations. That is the main difference between the point to point connection and the multi point.